3. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to our Friday evening service. With me this evening, I am delighted to have cantorial soloist Ginny Segorin. Welcome, Ginny.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and I'm so delighted to be with you, Rabbi Judy, and with everyone.
Good to have you. Before we begin the service itself, I am sad to share some sad news with you. Those of you who have been at Newbridge for many years, especially those of you who are veterans and have been here since the very beginning, will know Caroline Bloomfield, who died this week on Thursday and was buried yesterday. Caroline arrived at Newbridge on day one. I remember welcoming her, and she came to our first Shabbat service, which was with 10 people, including me, and she came to every Shabbat service thereafter, except when she was out of town or not well. Caroline sat always in the front row, and she had a beautiful voice. You could hear her voice singing out. She loved the davening. And there were so many wonderful things I could say about her. I know that she is beloved to many people in our congregation. And she was 96 years old, but still, she will be very sorely missed. And I just wanted to share, because she is someone who was with us here at Congregation Newbridge for such a long, long period of time, and was such a welcome presence. So taking a deep breath, changing gears, let us light the Shabbat candles and begin to welcome Shabbat. Jenny.
Baruch atah Adonai Olam asher tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We'll begin with Hine Matov on page 2.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Let's turn to page 4 for the Chunaranana.
לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריע לצור ישנו, נקדמה פניו בתודה. נריע לצור ישנו, בזמירה נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. 40 שנה אקוט בדור, ואומר עם טועה לבבם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ואפי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
I will read an English translation, an interpretive translation by Norman Fisher of the same psalm, Psalm 95. We are here singing to you, erupting into shouting at the place of the rock of our salvation, coming gratefully and gracefully before you here, affirming with our words the music of our mouths that we are possessed by you, yours entirely. For you give us the gift of sovereignty, a power above all others, the majesty of our absolutely being. You whose hands touch the earth's depths, whose heart pierces the mountain peak. The always changing sea is yours, for it exists because of you, and your hands have formed the firmness of the lands. So we come in awe, offering the earth and sea of ourselves to you, bending what we are toward you, the shaper of us. Let's continue now with Psalm 29 on page 9, Mizmor LeDavid.
Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kivod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod irim. Adonai, Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai b'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkitem kemo egel Levanon, Vesirion kemo ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yacholel ayalot, Vayechesov ye'arot, Uvechalo kulo Omer, kulo Omer kavod. Adonai lama bul yashav, vayeshav Adonai melech le'olam, Adonai os le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Let's turn now to page 11 for Lecha Dodi, and we'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha. Merosh miketam nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshva techila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori. Uri, shir daberi, kavod Adonai alaych nigla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Yamin usmol tifratzi, ve'et Adonai taritzi. Al yad ish ben partzi, v'nismacha v'nagila. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha ub'zola. Toch emunei am segula, Bo'i chala. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabla.
We turn to page 13 for the Song for the Sabbath Day, Psalm 92, and we'll read the interpretive translation. It is good to give thanks to the Eternal and to sing praise to the great name, to tell about your love in the morning and your faithfulness every night, with the 10-stringed harp and the lute, in song and meditation. For I delight in your world, source of joy, in your deeds, in the works of your hands. How great are your designs, Creator! They are beyond our comprehension. The foolish do not perceive this. The shallow cannot understand. Though the wicked flourish like the weeds, though they spring up like grass, they will be cut down. For you shine on high forever. Behold, your enemies shall perish. The evil ones will fall apart. You lift me. You increase my strength like the wild ram. I am fragrant with oil. I have seen the defeat of my enemies and heard the doom of my attackers. The righteous flourish like palm trees. They grow tall like cedars in Lebanon. Planted in the dark soil of the Holy One, they blossom in the courtyard of our God. Even in old age, they bear fruit. They are green and full of vigor, proclaiming that the source of life is just, our rock, whose way is perfect. This week, instead of doing a sermon after the Chatzi Kaddish before we start the evening service, I'm going to do instead what's called a Dvar Tfilah. I'm going to talk about a part of the prayers instead of a regular sermon. I hope that's okay with you. This is the psalm that the prayer I want to talk about is Psalm 92, which is the one we've just read, and that's why I'm pausing to do it here rather than at the usual place. The reason is because this psalm is such an intriguing psalm, and it has so many words to it that we actually read frequently but may not think about many different ways of understanding it. The Hebrew, just so that those who are Hebrew speakers will hear specifically these words, Tov lehodot l'Adonai ulezamer le'shimcha elyon. It is good to give thanks to the Eternal and to sing praise to the great name. Lehagid baboker chasdecha ve'emunatcha balelot. To tell about your love in the morning and your faithfulness every night. Now, we know that Hebrew poetry, especially from the first century before the Common Era, when this would have been written, is quite different than modern poetry. And there are many poetic styles that we find, one known as parallelism, where we find two verses that seem to be kind of saying the same thing, but it's said in two different ways that are parallel to each other, but not quite the same, but on the same theme. And we do see that here. For example, it is good to give thanks to the Eternal and to sing praise to the great name. So they're not exactly the same, but they're about giving thanks and giving praise, pretty similar. The next two lines are where I'm going to put my main focus. The ones that say to tell about your love. In the Hebrew, the word is chasdecha, which is literally your loving kindness, chesed. To tell about your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness every night. What does that mean, really? What is the difference? It basically is saying, morning and night, we thank you, we declare your faithfulness, your goodness to us. It's a way of saying this is an expansive period of time, all day long, 24/7. But there's also another layer that I think of when I read these words. When it says to tell about your chesed, your loving kindness in the morning, I look at morning as opposed to evening or every night. Morning is a time of light, of brightness, and evening is a time often of sorrow or darkness. It's a darker time. And I think there's a message here that we talk of God's kindness in the morning when all is well. And when things are going well, it is much easier for us to recognize how good our lives are and the many acts of chesed, of loving kindness, that we experience and enjoy on a daily basis. But when things are rough, in the evening time of our lives, in darker periods, when things are not going well, not for us, not for our family, not for our community, those are dark times. And then the word is emunatcha, your faithfulness. When things are going well, it is easy to notice all the good stuff. When things are not going well, it is much harder. And then what we need is emunah, faith, trust, optimism, hope. The things that we hang on to, that it will get better, that this is a passing situation, and that even if it doesn't pass, we will find the strength to endure it, and that there's hope there and faith. And the piece about when it's easier to be joyful, we find that in other Psalms. In Psalm 30, it says, Ba'erev yalin bechi v'laboker rina. At night, I lay weeping, but in the morning, joy returns. There is that feeling of dark times when we are struggling, and it's in those dark times that our faith holds strong. And that is our strength, the fact that we have optimism and faith. And then there's just those closing lines, which in my mind are connected. Every week, since the very beginning of Newbridge, when I read them in this congregation, I can't help but take them a little literally. That line, even in old age, they bear fruit. It's talking about the righteous, righteous people, good people who are tall like palm trees. They're upright, and they grow tall like cedars in Lebanon. Again, a parallelism there. And that they are planted in the dark soil of the Holy One, meaning they are well rooted in God's ways and blossom in the courtyard of God. Even in old age, they bear fruit. I look at our community and I think about people who are older than I am, people who have crossed the 100 mark even, but even those who are not quite there yet, people who live full lives, even though they may not be able-bodied as they once were, but there's a fullness of life, a wisdom, and an ability to be fruitful. We see that in so many different ways in our community, people who are productive in a way that is not just the usual working person's productivity, but in nurturing people, in sharing wisdom and life experiences. And that ties in with where we were in the beginning. People who have lived for a long time have seen a lot of good times and a lot of bad times. And it's the wisdom and the ability to hold on to the memories of what has been good and the faith that things will get better when they're not perfect at any given moment. So those are my thoughts on Psalm 92, the song for the Sabbath day. It's read every Friday night, and the Shabbat morning service has it twice, once in the early morning in Pesukei de Zimra and again later in the service. So it's a song that gets a psalm that gets a lot of airtime, and I wanted for a long time to share those thoughts with you. So now let us return to the davening, to page 15 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'amad ivrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayedcho beit Yisrael b'gala u'bizman kariv v'yimaru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Ve'alam Olam Me'omaya Yitbarach Ve'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh Ve'yithadar Ve'yithalel Shmir Kudsha Berichu Le'elad Min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'yalma Bimaru Amen.
Amen. We turn to page 16 for the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer, a time to rise in body or in spirit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Let's read together on page 16, You Bring on Evenings. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe. Your word brings on evenings. With wisdom, you open heaven's gates. With understanding, you change fixed times and alternate the seasons and arrange the stars in their places in the sky according to your will. Creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness before light. You cause day to pass and bring on night and distinguish between day and night. God of all forces is your name. God, living and enduring, always rule over us forever and ever. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evenings. And on page 17, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, v'shochbeinu u'vekumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Page 18, ואהבת.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue with Leman Tizkuru on page 20, line 4.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue on page 21 with Mi Chamocha, 2 paragraphs from the bottom of the page.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראובנך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
On page 22, let's read, Lay us down in peace. Lay us down, Adonai our God, in peace, and awaken us, our ruler, to life, and spread over us your sukkah of peace, and help us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us and remove from us enemy, disease, and sword, and hunger and sorrow, and remove the evil forces from before us and from behind us. And in the shadow of your wings, shelter us. For God, you watch over us and rescue us. For God, you are a gracious and merciful ruler. Watch over our going and coming, for life and for peace, from now until forever. And spread over us your sukkah of peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, the one who spreads a sukkah of peace over us and over all your people Israel and over Jerusalem. Page 23 for Vishamru, another occasion to rise in body or spirit.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
On page 25 is the Amidah. We will begin by chanting the first three blessings together, and then we'll take a few moments for silent prayer or meditation, and then join again on page 31 for Oseh Shalom. So let's start on page 25 with the Amidah.
Adonai sifata tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד אתה. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. נאמר אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We turn now to page 130 for the Mishaberach, the prayer for healing. Before we read the prayer for those who are ill, I will read a prayer that we have been reading for these last many weeks during the COVID virus, praying for those who are at risk and who take care of those who are ill. It's a prayer written by Rabbi Ayelet Cohen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those who put themselves at risk to care for the sick, physicians and nurses and orderlies, technicians and home health aides, EMTs and pharmacists, who navigate the unfolding dangers of the world each day to tend to those they have sworn to help. Bless them in their coming home and bless them in their going out. Ease their fear, sustain them. Source of all breath, healer of all beings, protect them and restore their hope. Strengthen them that they may bring strength. Keep them in health that they may bring healing. Help them know again a time without fear. Bless the sacred work of their hands. May this plague pass from among us speedily and in our days. Amen. Although here in Massachusetts things feel much safer, we know that there are other parts of the country and other parts of the world where it is not yet that way. And now let us say a Mishaberach for those that need healing. I will pause and enable people who have someone they'd like to pray for to say their name aloud or in your heart. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, veimotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel veLeah, uhu yivarech v'yirape et hacholim. הקדוש ברוך הוא מלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולרפאותם, להחזיקם ולהחיותם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתבגלה ובזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן.
Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn back to page 41 for Aleinu, and it occurs to me that although it is not really our tradition at Congregation Newbridge to open the Aron Kodesh for the first part of the Aleinu, it is a tradition in many synagogues, and since we have been deprived of that opportunity so much this year, I'm going to give it a shot today and see how that goes. Aleinu on page 44.
41. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אינות, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, וידעת היום, והשיבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ, ועל הארץ, מתחת אין עוד, אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On page 44 is the Mourner's Kaddish. I have two names to mention this week for their blessed memory. Emma Gould's mother, Rachel bat Moshe Shmuel Kreidman, Rachel bat Moshe Shmuel Kreidman, and Elise Price's mother, Adele Robbins. May their memories be a blessing to us. If you have a yortzeit, please join in with the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei, ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'miran ve'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalom Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'yimru. Amen. Announcements. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock on channel 918, the Shabbat morning service with Rabbi Karen. And on Wednesday at 11 o'clock on channel 918 is a live Zoom Torah study group. I invite you to click on the link that will be sent out on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning with a daily schedule and be in the group yourself. You don't have to be a Torah scholar of great fame in order to be there. You don't even have to talk at all, but it's nice to have more than just a handful of people. So don't be shy. Come, and I won't pick on you if you don't raise your hand. Don't worry. This week we sent out a blue package of letters, a blue package with notices and information about the upcoming Rosh Hashanah that is rapidly approaching. In fact, it is 3 weeks from now. And both Ginny and I take a deep breath. It will be different, but it will be good. And we're excited and looking forward to having something new and meaningful and special despite the challenges that we're confronting. So please read the letters and hold on to the schedule, and we look forward to celebrating. I just want to add again one point in the letter that I know many people who are comfortable with Zoom will be doing Zoom dinners with friends or family. I will also be hosting a Zoom communal Shabbat dinner. You bring your own food, which will be sent to you from wherever you order it, and we can have a nice schmooze together. It won't be the kind of several conversations simultaneously as it is around a regular table, but we'll have a good conversation nonetheless. So if you would like to come to my Zoom communal dinner. It's really our Zoom communal dinner that I will be hosting. Please let us know so we can send you the link. I think those are the main announcements for today. And thank you so much, our cantorial soloist, Ginny Sagorin. It's always a pleasure to lead Shabbat services with you.
Oh, thank you, Rabbi Judy. It's always a joy to be here with you. And I wish I were with you all over the high holidays. But we'll see you at another Shabbat.
Good, thank you. We're going to conclude on page 45 with Adon Olam, and then we'll have Kiddush and Hamotzi. So, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרד ולא העוז והמשרד והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת ישן ואירה ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירה אדוני לי ולא אירה. Shabbat Shalom.
So I hope that you have a glass of wine handy and that you are ready for Ginny's Kiddush. I even have my sip of wine handy.
Good. ויהי ערב ויבוקר יום השישי ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הכילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ויותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש HaShabbat.
Amen. Chaim. And now for Hamotzi. I'm going to need to put this down to cut it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Good Shabbos, everybody. I wish you a very enjoyable and restful and pleasant time, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.